The Vandals' sack of Rome in 455 AD was one of the most significant events during the decline of the Western Roman Empire. It marked the second time in history that Rome, the once mighty capital of the Roman world, had been breached by foreign invaders, the first being by the Visigoths in 410 AD. To understand why this happened and the consequences that followed, let's dive into the series of events and the historical background that led to this pivotal moment. The Vandals. Who were they? The Vandals were a Germanic tribe, part of the waves of barbarian groups that swept across Europe during the late Roman period. Initially, they came from the region around present-day Poland, but by the 5th century, they had moved through Gaul, modern France, and Spain, eventually crossing into North Africa. In 429 AD, under the leadership of their powerful king, Genseric, they crossed the Strait of Gibraltar and settled in North Africa, quickly establishing a kingdom. They took over major cities, including Carthage in 439 AD, and gained control of key trade routes in the Mediterranean. Once in control of North Africa, the Vandals amassed a powerful navy. With this new naval strength, they posed a direct threat to Rome's influence in the Mediterranean. The Roman Empire, weakened by internal conflicts and threats from other barbarian groups, struggled to keep the Vandals in check. The lead-up to the sack of Rome. To understand the sack of Rome in 455, we need to look at the political turmoil in the Western Roman Empire at the time. By the mid-5th century, the empire was a shadow of its former self. It had split into two parts: the Western Roman Empire, which was crumbling, and the Eastern Roman Empire, often referred to as the Byzantine Empire, which still had some strength. The Western Empire was plagued by weak emperors, constant threats from barbarian invasions, and power struggles within the Roman aristocracy. In 455 AD, the Western Roman Emperor Valentinian III was assassinated, leading to a power vacuum in the already unstable empire. His successor, Petronius Maximus, took the throne, but he was not universally accepted, especially by the powerful Roman generals and foreign leaders. Maximus also made a grave mistake. He cancelled the betrothal between Valentinian III's daughter, Eudocia, and Genseric's son. This move angered Genseric, who saw it as a direct insult to his kingdom and his family's honor. Genseric saw this moment of Roman instability as an opportunity. He gathered his forces and launched a naval expedition from North Africa, heading straight for the heart of the Western Roman Empire, Rome itself. The sack of Rome. On June 2, 455 AD, Genseric and his Vandal forces arrived at the gates of Rome. Unlike the Visigoths, who had stormed the city in 410 AD, the Vandals entered Rome largely without resistance. Why? The new emperor, Petronius Maximus, had fled the city in fear, leaving Rome leaderless and defenseless. His flight caused chaos, and he was ultimately killed by a mob of his own people as he attempted to escape. With no one left to lead the defense, the citizens of Rome were left at the mercy of Genseric and his army. According to some historical accounts, Pope Leo I met with Genseric outside the city and negotiated a deal. While Genseric agreed not to burn the city or massacre its inhabitants, the Vandals were still free to loot. For the next 2 weeks, the Vandals looted Rome. They took everything they could find of value: gold, silver, jewels, religious artifacts, and even works of art. Some accounts suggest that they stripped the city's buildings of anything valuable, leaving them bare. One of the most symbolic losses was the looting of treasures from the Temple of Jupiter, Optimus Maximus, and the sack of the imperial palace. But the looting didn't stop with material wealth. The Vandals also took a large number of Roman citizens as slaves, including members of the imperial family. Empress Licinia Eudoxia, the widow of Valentinian III, and her daughters were captured and taken to North Africa as hostages. Genseric's sack of Rome was so thorough that the word vandalism later came to be associated with wanton destruction. Was Rome destroyed? Despite the significant looting, Rome itself was not physically destroyed by the Vandals. Unlike the Visigoths, who had besieged and burned parts of the city, the Vandals left Rome's buildings largely intact. The agreement with Pope Leo I ensured that the city would not be burned to the ground, and many lives were spared. However, the psychological and symbolic impact of the sack was immense. For centuries, Rome had been the center of the known world, the seat of power for the mighty Roman Empire. The idea that a foreign tribe could sack it twice within a span of less than 50 years was unthinkable to many Romans. It signaled, even more clearly than before, that the Western Roman Empire was in deep decline and that its days of dominance were over. Aftermath and consequences. The Vandals' sack of Rome in 455 AD had profound consequences. Although Genseric returned to North Africa with his spoils, the event significantly weakened the morale and standing of the Western Roman Empire. Rome, once the greatest city in the world, was now a vulnerable target, unable to defend itself from foreign invaders. The Western Roman Empire, already fragile, continued to decline after the sack. By 476 AD, just 21 years after the Vandals sacked the city, the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the barbarian leader Odoacer, marking the official fall of the Western Roman Empire. Although the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire, would continue for nearly 1,000 more years, the fall of Rome symbolized the end of the classical world and the beginning of the Middle Ages. For the Vandals, the sack of Rome represented the height of their power. Under Genseric's rule, they remained a dominant force in the Mediterranean for several more decades, controlling key trade routes and even defeating a Roman Byzantine fleet sent to recapture North Africa in 468 AD. However, their kingdom would eventually fall to the Byzantines in 533 AD during the reign of Emperor Justinian I, as part of his campaign to reconquer lost Roman territories. The legacy of the sack of Rome. The Vandals' sack of Rome in 455 AD is often remembered as one of the critical moments in the fall of the Western Roman Empire. It showed just how far the once great empire had fallen and how powerful the so-called barbarians had become. The word Vandal itself has since come to symbolize senseless destruction, even though the Vandals did not actually destroy Rome. In historical hindsight, the event symbolizes the shift from the classical world to the medieval period. It also highlights the fragility of empires and how internal strife, combined with external pressures, can lead to their downfall. What was once the most powerful city in the world had been looted not once but twice in less than half a century. The sack of Rome by the Vandals serves as a reminder that no empire, no matter how powerful, is immune to decline and collapse. The event is a key marker in the broader story of the fall of the Roman Empire and the transformation of Europe in the centuries that followed.